solving by elimination and substitution, those are the first two sections that we did. Then we jumped to the systems of inequalities. But before we could do a system of inequalities, we had to learn how to graph one inequality. Right? So to graph one inequality, we know that an inequality, the graph looks like a line, and it could either be solid or it could be dashed. And then there's shading on one side of the line. That's what it looks like. How do we know that the line should be solid? Yeah, it's solid if it says greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. It's dashed if it's a greater than or a less than. Right? And then how can we tell where the shading goes? You test a point that's not on the line, right? If it leads to a true statement, you know the shading includes that point. If it leads to a false statement, the shading must be on the other side of the line. Right? Or if it's solved for y, right? If it's solved like y is greater than or y is less than, then you know that if it's greater than, it's above. If it's less than, it's below. And that works for all of them except for one, which is the one that it doesn't work for. When there is no y. What kind of line doesn't have a y in it? It's a vertical line. Something like if x is greater than 2 or x is less than 2, right? The greater than means shade to the right, and the less than means shade to the left. Right? All the others, you could solve them for y and then just use the above or below. Now, a system of inequalities means more than one inequality on the same graph, right? So if we say solve a system of inequalities, it really just means graph them all on the same background. And you're going to get something that looks like maybe one of them is a dashed line like that, and the shading is here. And the other one could be a solid line like that, and the shading is here. And then the solution would be, where does those shaded areas overlap? So you just have to, if you do it by shading different areas, just make sure you make clear, this is where they're overlapping. I think this is the solution. So do something to make it obvious that that's the solution right there.
Can we shade that?
Sure. I mean, I like to do it, I tend to do it like this, right? I mean, if I had that first line was dashed, if I have that first line as dashed, I tend to just make a little arrow to show that I want the shading on that side. But in this one, I could draw it as solid and make my little arrow to say on this side. And then where the arrows are all pointing, just shade in the area like that. Then there's not a whole lot of mess on the